Okay, now that we've placed our base map into the Illustrator file, let's start learning how to digitize features and to start to turn this into something that's more your own creation. So tracing things. There are three types of features that you can place in here. You can make polygons, you can make lines, and you can make points. So polygons is going to be something that is a little more of a of like a box, a fill, if you will. So the island itself, the land might be a polygon, a lake might be a polygon, a piece of Acadia National Park or a park in your hometown might be a polygon. A line might be a road or a trail or something like that, or a stream. And a point will be a symbol that you're representing a single place. So like a mountain peak or a town or any place that was important to you, a friend's house, your house. So I think the best thing to do is to start with good organization. And this is a key in Illustrator and in cartography in general. And so remember that Illustrator files are organized into layers. So what I'm going to do right now is just create a separate layer for each type of object that I'm going to have in here. So let's make a new one. It shows up here as layer 2. If you double click it, you can rename it. Let's call this one polygons. And let's make another one. And let's call this one line work. Let's make another one. Call it points. And let's finally make a last one, and we'll get to all of these later on in the video series, but let's make a last one called type. And that's going to be the labels and text that you put on your map. Okay, now that we've made those, let's start learning how to digitize features. The two main tools that we'll use for this are the pen tool and the pencil tool. The pencil tool is for when you want to be drawing freehand. So if I'm trying to trace a really complex line feature that is very curvy, like a road, you can use the pencil tool to draw freehand. The pen tool is if you want to make polygons that are a little more like blocky, right? So the national park here is based on, like the border is just parcels, right? So if you live in an area with more of a grid, the pen tool is probably going to be more helpful for you because what it allows you to do is draw straight line segments and connect them. So to start, remember that we can lock layers, and I don't want to accidentally move around our base map layer. So if you accidentally do, you can always hit Control Z, and that will back you up a step. But I want to lock this in so that we don't accidentally move it around. So I'm going to go up here, lock it. Click that little spot right next to the visibility one. Okay, to access the pencil tool, let's start with that. And let's start with just line drawing. So I'm gonna start with tracing roads and streams and trails that are important to me. It doesn't really matter what order you do this in, but when you start with that, the pencil tool, you don't see it up here, but it's actually very easy. You just hold down on the little thing that looks like a paintbrush, and there's the pencil. And that's what you want. Or you can just use your keyboard shortcut, N. I find keyboard shortcuts to be a really handy way to navigate around Illustrator. So if I hit N, that'll also take me to this. And while we're on the topic of keyboard shortcuts, whenever you want to get back to just like a standard move around and not draw a new feature, you'll use this selection tool, and you can get to that by pressing V. So I often will go back and forth pressing N and pressing V. And if you want to zoom around your map and pan around, notice that I can't move anything. But if you hold down the space key, you get this little grabber hand, and you can move around your map canvas. If you want to zoom in or zoom out, you can hold down the space key and the control key, control space, and now when you click and drag, you can zoom in and out. And then remember, you can press space, move around. That's how you just sort of navigate around your map. So I'm going to zoom back out and then drag to get to see the whole thing. So, okay, sorry for that little interlude. Back to the pencil tool, which you get to by pressing N. And it comes up a little pencil. Notice that it's got this little, like, not okay symbol. I can't think of the name of that at the moment. like a do not enter right next to the pencil tool. That's because you're trying to draw in a layer that's locked. And notice that over here, the base map layer is selected. And we don't want that. We want to actually be drawing things into the line work layer. So you can select that. And now it's got a little asterisk next to it, which means that you can draw a new feature. So I'm going to start with the big road on the island, the most important feature. So I just clicked and now I'm dragging. And I'm just sort of tracing this out, right? All right, there's the first road to start. And it just drew itself in and created a new line. And so you can do this for all of the roads or whatever that are important to you. I'm not going to do all of that right now because that's a little more than I want to wait for you guys to watch me do. But you can also, draw in a stream that's important, right? There it is. You can draw in a trail that's important. One of my favorite loops was running around Eagle Lake, so you can draw a trail in. Right, there you go. One thing to be careful of is if you draw something and you draw back to this start, it's going to create a polygon rather than just a line. So if you do that, you can always just hit backspace to delete that and start fresh. If you want to digitize a feature that has solid, like a road that's straight, for example, you're not going to use the pencil tool. You're going to want to use the pen tool. And to get to the pen tool, you either hit P on your keyboard or go up here and select that in your toolbox. And the way that this one works is by, instead of clicking and dragging, you just click, click, click to create vertices on whatever line you want to create. So say I wanted to digitize this boundary. I can go click, 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 click. Cool. I'm going to pause the video and get a little more of this done so that I can continue with the video and so you guys don't have to watch me do this whole process. So now I've finished drawing all of my lines, but notice that they're all the same. Every line that I drew came in as the same width and a black line, and that's definitely not what we want because we want to be able to show different types of line work. So how do we change that? Well, that's what the appearance panel is for. And you can also look at that in the properties panel. If I select one of these lines, click it, then I get this little appearance, fill, and stroke. You can also see that it comes in here. I had you pull up the appearance tab because there's more stuff that we can use this for a little bit later. But let's say that we want to select lines that we want to be different. So I'm going to do the main roads in a different color. So I've selected that. To select more than one object, you can hold down Shift and click. And now look, both this path and this path are selected. I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to select this one. Now I've got all of my major roads selected. And let's make this a different color. So let's, to bring up the color chooser, you can either pick from one of the swatches that are in here, or you can hold down Shift and click, and it'll give you a color picker that you can kind of do whatever you want with. So I think I'm going to choose sort of an orange for my main roads, and I'm going to make them a little thicker, increase that to 2 point. Now if I click away, notice that there those lines are. They're thicker now and they've changed color. I also want to make the rivers blue, and there I can go like this and make it a nice little blue line. See how that came in like that. I want to keep this like thin black line for my roads, but I also want to make my trails a different color. So, and also I think it'd be cool if I can get my trails to come in as like dotted lines instead of straight lines, but I'm gonna show that in a little bit later a video. So for now, I'm just gonna shift click all of my trails, and I'm gonna make these sort of a red for right now. Okay, so there's all of the line work. And I will stop that video and start over with polygons and show you how to create the more basic features on your